my gosh, I got no voice, guys. I'm sorry. How's it going, guys? It's the Peruvian trucker with. How's it going, guys? It's the Peruvian trucker back with another video. I have no voice, yet I'm wearing short sleeves. I'm out here on a rest area in Pennsylvania, and today we are going to talk about trip planning because I had to shut down in the middle of the night. I didn't have to, I chose to shut down, but still, let's get in the cab and talk about it. How's it going, guys? I gotta apologize for that intro. My voice is really not my high-pitched voice is on sabbatical, guys. I'm sorry. So I haven't recorded a video in a couple of days, and I don't really talk because I'm by myself, and I didn't realize how bad it was until I started recording this. But it is what it is. I'm gonna have my radio presenter voice, I guess. So yes, how's it going, guys? It's the Peruvian trucker back with another video. Like I mentioned, I'm out here in Pennsylvania. I'm heading to, what is it, Woodland, Pennsylvania, I think? Yes, Woodland, Pennsylvania. On this load that I picked up in, where did I pick up? Massachusetts. Southborough, Massachusetts. Okay. Heading to Woodland to a Walmart facility. I'm going to deliver later today. It's a drop and hook. I could have delivered earlier today, but I decided to stop here at this rest area because I just wasn't comfortable with the snow on the road. So I chose to stop at this rest area and just deliver later today. Which brings us to the topic of trip planning. So I'm going to start making videos answering questions or talking about things that you ask me in the comments. This is a question requested by Jay Woke, which is he asked me how I do trip planning. And well, here we go. I wish I had a load in which I could break it down and explain you how I do trip planning. Like the one going to Wyoming would have been perfect. And I have some screenshots of that which I shared on that video. But I didn't go into much detail. So I'm going to try to do that now. With examples. And to be honest, my trip planning is pretty simple, guys. I prefer to drive through the night. So when it comes to where I'm going to stop at the end of my shift early in the mornings, I don't really need to do much digging because for the most part, early in the morning, there's plenty of spots. Most truckers start driving at the beginning of the day, which is when I'm ending my shift. So when it comes to that, when it comes to finding places to park when I'm on a load, I don't do much trip planning on that because of that same reason. Usually when I'm, on hour 9.5, hour 10 of my shift, I'll start looking for a pilot where I can park and take a shower. And I've been pretty successful with that. If I can find a pilot, usually I start looking with plenty of time to find either a rest area and I just won't shower that day, or a Love's or TA. If it's a Love's and I have shower points, I will take a shower. If I don't have the shower points, or if it's a TA or Petro, I'll skip the shower. It's not worth the aggravation of having a dirty bathroom. And on that note, I've mentioned in the past that I shower, if I can, I'll shower every day, if not every other day. And yeah, that's what I do when it comes to parking. Now, when it comes to route planning or route planning, depending on how you pronounce it, when I started, I had 3 tools that I used. I have the Navigo, which is the navigation system that comes with OmniTrax. which is the route that's suggested by my dispatch, but I don't have to follow it because I'm a lease operator. And then I have my Rand McNally GPS, which I bought before I went solo, and Trucker Path on my iPhone. When I first started, I used all three, and sometimes I had a hard time getting all three to work together. But I gotta be honest, since about late November, December of last year, my Rand McNally has been an ornament on my dashboard. Yeah, I haven't used the Rand McNally at all in the last 4 months. I just used the Trucker Path on my iPhone and the OmniTracks. And for the most part, they will work together. They will have the similar route. The OmniTracks has the tendency to take you on 2-lane highways and rural roads, which I'm okay with taking depending on the conditions. But for the most part, I'll just follow the Trucker Path until I am within 50 to 60 miles away from my delivery address. Then I will follow my OmniTracks or Navigo, because the routing is based on what Prime has learned through their experience with their shippers and receivers and the route that they choose. So I trust that for the most part. So what I would do to make my trip as smooth as I can between Trucker Path and OmniTracks is I will go into my dispatch section on OmniTracks on my navigation and take all of my suggested stops, my O1 or pickup, my fuel stop or fuel suggestion, and my delivery address. Take those locations and add them to my Trucker Path so I can get my navigation and Trucker Path to be on a very similar, if not the same route. And that's basically what I will do when it comes to the route itself. The Trucker Path is really good at letting you know if there's any weather warnings on the route, and this also comes into play on whether I will accept or decline a load. I will use weather apps to keep track of the weather. I have two main weather apps that I use. I have the Weather Bug, which I use when I'm already at a location to track the weather for the next 10, 12, how many hours I'm going to stay in that same place. But when I am looking ahead, it's really easy to use Bentusky because you can just tap anywhere in the map, and have a clear outlook of how the weather's going to be for the next day, the next week even. And I kill two birds with one stone. I can check the actual temperatures and the winds in one search. And that's what I use. So for example, if I'm heading to Salt Lake City, which I wouldn't unless the conditions are really optimal. If I'm heading to Salt Lake City, I'll first check the weather on Salt Lake and see how it's looking for the next couple of days. And then I will also check 2 or 3 points of interest, I'll call them, for me, along that route. Maybe check a couple of places in Wyoming to see how the wind's going to be looking. Or, Nebraska, or even Illinois or Iowa. So I will just, tap on a couple of places along the route, in that case along 80, and see if at what times it's going to be the best times to drive through certain spots. And that goes also, of course, with whether or not I'm accepting or declining a load. When I get a load suggestion, and we're going to use Salt Lake City or Ogden, Utah, as an example for that same for trip planning. If I get a load that's going to Salt Lake, I will do the same thing. Before I even accept it, I will go to my Ventusky app and tap on a couple spots along the route and see if the wind is going to be optimal. If there's going to be any high winds, or if there's going to be any snow. And I will combine that with the Ryan Hall channel. There's a YouTuber called Ryan Hall. He has two channels, Ryan Hall Y'all and Ryan Hall Y'all Extra, in which he will talk in detail about the upcoming weather, if we're going to have any storms, any tornado warnings. And the cool thing that he does is that he has the weather, the forecast projections or predictions by the hour, and he'll do a time lapse of those, so you can have a clear idea of how the weather's going to be over the next couple of days, and know if you should even attempt heading in a particular direction. And based on his videos and what I see on the Ventusky app, combined with how much time I have in a load and where I can try to stop or how far I can get on a particular drive shift, I will decide if I can take or if I will take or decline a load. And I gotta be honest, for the most part, I try to take them. I try to make it work if I have the time and the weather is looking like I can deal with it. But other times when I've gotten loads going to Salt Lake City, it's just not even worth it. Wyoming is always sketchy when it comes to winds, and it's winter, so there's always some storm system, as Ryan Hall will call it, traversing from the northwest to the east. So it's rarely worth it. Yeah. Also, on the note of accepting and declining loads, even if I get load that is not, even if I get a load that does not pay decently, which for me decent is anything over $2 per mile, you gotta take into consideration where that load, if it's a load that pays less than $2 per mile, I won't be too thrilled about it. But you also have to look at where that load would take you. If it's going to drive you away from bad weather or put you in a area that will get you a better load, you're still making money. You're making less money, but you're making money to get to a better place. So take those things into consideration too when it comes to declining or accepting loads. And that's pretty much it. I hope that this information was helpful. That's how I do it, and it's been pretty and it's worked out fine for me for the most part. So I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Again, that's how I do trip planning and how I choose whether I decline or accept a load. If you have any suggestions on how you do your trip planning or what variables you take into consideration for accepting and declining loads, drop them in the comments. That way you can help me, and you can also help other people that may have the same question. So let's start a discussion in the comments, guys. And also, of course, if you have any other questions for me or any other topics that you would like me to talk about or address, hit me in the comments below as well, or message me directly on Instagram. It's easier for me to catch messages on Instagram and communicate with you guys there. So once again, I want to thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.